I also heard we have an etheric double that will remain there. For instance, let's say that Beethoven is already back on this planet. But the Beethoven we understand and feel through his music can still receive our ovations, our questions, our love, as the Beethoven who was once. I mean, the soul goes on. There will be other ways of being dressed, other physical bodies, but it's not gone. That Beethoven who composed the Pastoral and the Ninth Symphony. Do you agree with that vision?
Would a soul leave something like Beethoven as a legacy to the world, that soul will ultimately have to will ultimately have to disentangle from that work. Otherwise, his future lives or their future lives will be continued to be entangled with the karma of the observers of that music. So what has happened is the muse that helped him create that music and that specific frequency, and the Akashic record takes over and allows it to pass generations, so the next generation can view the music and the composer, but the composer not to be directly affected in their future lifetimes because it's such a deep impact on people.
Correct. So that's what I was kind of saying. By there is an entity there who is not Beethoven anymore, but who was the
residual image.
The residual image, perfect. That would still be receiving and processing through with the muses, of course, and the guides, because it's so lively. It's
exactly. And there's all these other people putting energy so that it can continue to cross generations. And that's the soul family empowering stuff like that.
And when is the moment that they tell us, now you go back there?
What is the moment they tell us what?
That is enough time spent in between worlds that, again, not talking about a bodhisattva. I'm talking about a person who is on the path of evolution, of course, and who is told, go there. I heard that Beethoven had pushed to the latest possible moment to come back. He could have come in situations much easier than the ones he ended up coming. But Cyril thought...
I've not spoken about Beethoven publicly on air. It's a tough thing to realize that we have a social agreement of time, and there are other beings who really don't care about us, and they live on this world, and to us we are cattle, and something like Beethoven is a prize. And yes, he did wait a very, very long time, and there could have been other opportunities for him to come in early, but if he did, he would have been captured because he's such a bright soul. And there are beings who can review time from like remote viewing. They could be living in 700 AD or 7000 BC, and they could be remote viewing us, looking for other versions of themselves to take over.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing?
So Beethoven had to make sure when he came in he wouldn't be detected by those other beings who ultimately are doing what? Creating an environment of shame, blame, and guilt surrounded by propaganda, so we can no longer go back to our natural birthing orders, back to our natural order, living on the land, instead of being disconnected in the cities, disconnected from dream world, connected into materialism and consumerism, and not allowed to have a social structure that's a patriarchal dominated society, but a mutually accepted society, where equity and equality for all kind is the actual equity and quality.
Wow. That's profound.
It's very profound, and it's important that people understand that, you know, we are in a time where our belief system means everything.